Now, select focus area is a feature that's new in Photoshop CC 2014. And I tried to find a good image for an example. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, it was hard to find an image that this actually worked for. Anything that this worked for, using the quick select would be that much quicker. And, it has something where you can add to the selection here, and, the brush tool works like a brush tool, and you can add to it here and add to it here, and you can adjust exactly what's in focus and what isn't, and you end with refine edge. But again, unless it was like a very, very clear separation between the foreground and background, like for instance, this one's going to work just fine. It's looking on the thing that's in focus. Unless it's a very, very clear separation, this tool tended not to work. So this is a tool that, at least in its version 1.0 as it is right now, I'm generally going to avoid because it has such a limited use case. And even within the use case that it's ideal for, it only works when, honestly, I'd rather just use the quick select tool. I don't need to wait for it to load. Like, this does seem magical right here. I do love this. I can go to refine edge and we'll get it exactly. But it took me a lot of searching to find an image that would actually work with this tool. I tried it on this, didn't work. Tried it on this, didn't work. Tried it on this, didn't work. It didn't work on this. This looks like such an easy case for it. But you go into select focus area. I know I'm spending too much time on this tool that I suggest you never use. I just want to prove, man, I did the testing, so you don't need to ever use this right here. And you'll see that it it got you some of the way there. It's kind of nice, but for my money, I'd rather just use quick select. You can see that it's having all sorts of issues. And so you'll notice that it's red. That's from here, as opposed to it being on black or something else. And then you can turn it into selection, mask, all of that, or rather just don't use it. That's my suggestion right there. So let's get out of this and get out of this. So the other things right here, refine edge. We've talked about refine edge ad nauseum. I'm not going to go over it again here. You can expand, you can contract, you can do things like increase the contrast. Let's actually make it so you can see what's going on right here. So you can increase the contrast, you can feather the edges, which basically just means blur them. Soften them, whatever you want to call it. You can smooth it, which gets rid of all of the sharp corners right there, for better or worse. Expand it out, expand it in. And then there's all sorts of things inside of here, like Smart Radius tries to find where the edge is right there. There's a lot of things that you can do with this, but I've talked about refine edge. Play with it. It's such a wonderful tool. And then modify is kind of a legacy feature. So smooth, already in refine edge, we covered that. Expand, contract, that's just growing and shrinking. Like expand and contract are the same as shift edge in either way. And it only exists because this existed before refine edge was a feature, so it's still part of Photoshop. Feather, that's the same as feather. Border is actually something, this is the only place to get this. So select modify border. And what this does is it turns your selection into, here I'm going to create a new layer. It turns your selection so basically the border is the only thing that's selected. So it's kind of 10 pixels in either direction from where the other selection was. So it goes from this to the active region being this. So, and then you can do whatever you want with it right there. So if that's something you have a need for, great. Most of the time you're going to solve something like that with a vector sort of solution. Let's go back to having a selection. Here we go. Lovely. Select, grow, similar. I'm going to be honest. Don't use these. The computer is doing too much guessing. I've shown you better things than these. Like grow makes it so it grows just a little bit and tries to guess the nearby color. Refine edge is better than that. It doesn't work in most cases. And similar, it's finding similar colors, but it's better to do things with the wand tool or the quick select tool.